Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
Well, good morning, one and all, and a happy Tuesday morning. Yes, it is Tuesday, by the way, because yesterday was a holiday. I know many of you are confused out there. It is 5:07 a.m. on News Talk 105.9 WMAL. We are making sense of the news. Yeah, I actually was confused yesterday coming home. I literally kept thinking it was Sunday. It is not Sunday. Yesterday was Monday. Today's Tuesday. I'm Andrew Langer. This is O'Connor and Company. I'm in for Larry O'Connor today, who's, if you're following his Twitter feed, The Amazing Travels of Larry O'Connor, sitting alongside Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
Yeah, you're amazed, too, at Larry's travels.
Always.
Yes. Listen, we got a great show today. Eli Lake is joining us, reporter for the Free Press, to talk about Joe Biden coming back from his extended vacation and his remarks about Benjamin Netanyahu. We got Steve Moore from the Heritage Foundation. Some folks are telling Kamala to not talk about the economy. Kamala is talking about the economy trying to steal Trump's thunder. We got Molly Hemingway joining us as well to talk about this nutty story out of Alexandria. The what do we call a mob of Karens? We call them a crow of Karens. What are we calling a group of Karens now? There's a word for it, a plural of Karens, going after J.D. Vance, putting his family in jeopardy. But we are now neck deep into the election season. Folks actually should be paying attention now because, of course, yesterday was Labor Day, so you normally don't start paying attention until after Labor Day. Of course, early voting starts in 2 weeks, and you know what that means, Julie, as the temperatures turn colder and Election Day draws nearer. Well, the candidates' accents apparently start to change with the weather. So Kamala was speaking yesterday in Detroit. Now, she's in Detroit, which is in Michigan. Kamala Harris is from, of course, California, though she lived in Quebec for several years. So one would have thought maybe she was going with Pepe Le Pew as opposed to Foghorn Leghorn. And she put on a bit of an accent yesterday. Michael, let's go ahead and play cut number 1, please.
You better thank a union member for the 5-day work week. You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
Right. You better thank a union member for siphoning off lots and lots of your wages and getting nothing in return as of late. You better thank. Anyway, we could go through a whole list here. Right. They're still, polishing off, dusting off this age-old, thing that they've been saying now for 50 plus years about unions and the 5-day work week. Some places pushing for the 4-day work week. You better thank a union member for making sure you can't have flex time. I mean, that's what I keep coming back to.
Yeah, first of all, that was so cringe. I feel like my ears are bleeding, and this is a strategy employed by Democrats. They are chameleons. They always sort of switch it up or try to portray themselves as whatever a member of whatever audience they're talking to. It's deeply uncomfortable. But it really just shows how they campaign. They pander. It's constant pandering. And everybody watching that should be insulted and really grossed out by that kind of behavior. It's not only cringe, it's creepy and dishonest.
Yes.
So no surprise there. But boy, I got to tell you, that was even worse than Hillary Clinton's sort of famous, Baptist preacher thing.
Oh, yes.
That she did years ago.
Right. Well, and that's exactly it. It is a situation in which obviously you gotta you know your audience. As a politician, you know your audience. But this idea that somehow Kamala Harris is trying to channel some combination of Foghorn Leghorn and Jesse Jackson is just crazy. Now, here we have a rare opportunity here, Julie, though, that we can't miss, because you and I never get to talk about food on the air. But Kamala has handed us a unique opportunity here. Do you ever make greens at home?
I do. Yeah,
yes.
I do.
Do you wash your greens in the bathtub?
I do not. That's disgusting.
Yes. I just oh God, it makes my bile rise.
Yeah, you actually don't have to, Kamala. You can actually clean things in batches. I mean, this idea that, it's like her McDonald's lie. It's like, I'm just like you, you poor people who, I mean, I don't even know.
Hello, fellow teenagers.
Exactly. I don't even know who she's trying to appeal to. Gross people? Like, are you trying to go for the gross people vote? Like, what are you talking about?
Well, there's this aspect of it. And then, of course, there's the issue of the Tabasco sauce in her greens, which is very, very strange to me. Again, because it's not as though she was living in Arkansas or Alabama or someplace where this would be natural. It would be. But anyway, let's hear what Kamala had to say. Let's play cut number 2.
I have a friend who had a Christmas party, Christmas Eve every year, and she asked me to make the greens for a party every year. And I am not lying to you that I would make so many greens that I'd need to wash them in the bathtub. I'm telling you the truth.
So how do you make your greens? Do you put turkey in them? Do you
bacon.
Nice.
What?
I do bacon.
She
doesn't.
Garlic. I put white vinegar.
Garlic?
I do. So I slice up my garlic. But no, first I chop up the bacon
fry it.
and get all that fat going. Then I put garlic, some chili peppers.
Yes.
And then a lot of water and a little chicken stock. And I let it go for a while. Before I put the greens in. And then, so you get that going and all that flavor. And then I put the greens in for a couple hours. Then I do vinegar. And then I cheat and do a little Tabasco.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, but Tabasco of all, I like Louisiana hot sauce, but Tabasco has that right amount of vinegar. Yeah. And that's how I do my greens.
I see why you get invited every year.
Oh, yes, I see why you get invited every year. Remember, the secret is you use turkey wings and turkey
Smoked
legs.
turkey, yeah.
You smoke turkey because it doesn't make it as greasy as you would if you're using pork hocks. She uses bacon, which is really strange because I get it. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's so funny. I don't know if we're going to talk about it today, but there is a body language expert who is out there, just done this analysis of Kamala Harris's body language during the interview last week, and it confirms what we've already thought, what I certainly thought about all of this. But it's like I sit there and I listen to her sort of break this down, and I'm like, well, that's really so she makes a stock. But then she lets the stock boil for a while before she puts her greens in. That doesn't ring true to me. That seems very, very strange.
There are lots of different ways of preparing greens.
I suppose.
There are. I mean, I actually use a ham hock. There are a lot, lots of different ways that you can make. I agree with you. I feel like the bacon is pretty greasy.
Yes.
But it's more than just the specific recipe. It's just this idea that she's, trying to portray herself as something she isn't.
Right.
And again, this is a woman who grew up in Canada, to, very well-off parents, employed as professors and doctors. This is, just this idea that she grew up as a poor black girl in Alabama is what does not ring true.
There's a song by a guy named Tony Joe White called Poke Salad Annie, which talks about a woman who had to subsist basically on greens that she would pick along the side of the road.
Right, that's Kamala.
That's
but
what
again,
I'm saying.
and really quickly, I know we're up. This is a woman who grew up. She's half Indian, American, but also then her father is Caribbean.
Yes.
It is, again, not like she grew up in Mississippi or that her father is from Mississippi. Again, fine. Look, I'm white as the driven snow, and I make collard greens now and then.
Sure.
I'm not saying you can't, but just this idea is
this
just
idea
a little
that you're known for-
revolting.
Oh, and by the way, how about Kamala Harris throwing her racist friend under the bus for saying, okay, you are vaguely, this pastiche of ethnic backgrounds, you come to my thing and you're going to be the person who's the designated greens maker. I mean, okay. What? I mean, if I'm Kamala Harris, that's the story I'm telling to just show how racist people are around me. But that's just me. Listen, we'll continue in just a moment. First, it's 5:15 a.m.
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live.
From the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
The news is brought to you by Thompson Creek Windows.
Let's just get through the next 64 days. How about that?
It is just cringe. Hi, everybody. I'm Andrew Langer in for Kamala Harris. Listening to her accent, it's just,
it's
just
so
crazy.
cringe.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just it. And it seems like, by the way, she uses it in Detroit quite a bit. I mean, let's go here. Before we get to Hillary there, Michael, let's play cut number 4. She was back in back early August. She was back in Detroit. Maybe that's her Detroit accent. She thinks the people from. I think of people from Detroit talking like, Axel Foley and Beverly. Maybe. Wait a minute. Hold on for a second. If I had a dinger, I would say it. Heather, she was doing her impression. Heather and Julie, she was doing her impression of Axel Foley's police captain in Beverly Hills Cop, who was, in fact, from the South. In fact, let's go ahead, Michael. Let's play cut number 4.
You know, the one thing about all of us is we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work is good work. The thing that we like about hard work is we have fun doing hard work. Thank you to the sisters and brothers of UAW for all you are and all we will do over these next 89 days.
This is Kamala Harris's impression of Inspector Todd from Beverly Hills Cop. That's what it is.
People got to ask, do you want 4 years of this? Do you
Yes.
want 4 years of this? It is painful to listen to her.
Yes, but again, as you were talking about in the last segment, right? It is about pandering to them. I mean, that's the thing. It's, at least, J.D. Vance is, first of all, J.D. Vance is the real thing because he grew up in Appalachia. But then the point is, you go and you get educated and you lose the accent. J.D. Vance doesn't regain his accent.
No, he doesn't bring it back
The closer he gets to wherever. Here's Hillary Clinton. Of course, Hillary Clinton, who, yes, she lived in Arkansas but grew up in Illinois. Hillary Clinton
I'm so glad
putting on her accent.
Yeah,
Let's play cut number 6.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far.
Oh, my God.
Do you think at some level, I mean, again, these folks are trying to figure out some way that they will be remembered for posterity. These are the cuts, so they think that they've got to do some kind of, I mean, listen, I do my impression of JFK, giving his speech at Rice University. But this is just nuts to me. Terry McAuliffe, also, when he was campaigning, Terry McAuliffe trying to be a good Virginian. Let's play. Go ahead, Michael. Play cut number 7.
I'm a gun owner. I take 2 of my sons hunting, skeet shooting.
Hunting, shooting, dropping his G's. That is just so typical.
But yes, I think you're right. It is this issue of how long is this gonna go? I mean, it really is. It's distasteful, and it's cringe. I suppose on the one level it's going to work for some audience, but I don't, to me, it's like, I get it. They think we're stupid.
Well, again,
evil.
if you then criticize her and say, don't do this kind of bathtub greens accent weirdness, she can respond with "you're racist," or the Democrats can respond, "you're racist." So this is the kind of thing that they think they can get away with, and they often do. They often do. Obviously, from the sort of leftist media, they do get away with it. But it is pandering. I don't think it works. I think most people can see through this kind of thing, and especially with Kamala Harris, who is not genuine. She never has been. She's not warm. People don't feel a sense of camaraderie or friendship or the sense that she cares about them.
Well, before we go to the break, let's hear the OG Detroit accent, Detroit Southern accent here, Julie. Let's hear Inspector Todd for Beverly Hills.
What the hell you need $1,000 for?
Little flash money.
Flash money. Well, let's see here.
$2,000 for a suit, $200 for a tie, a requisition order for a Ferrari. I don't want to see any more of these blue slips.
Yeah, that is Kamala Harris. I think we found it there. All right, listen, we've got so much more to get to right now. It's 5:23 on WMAL.
You better thank a union member.
Now,
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
Well, yes. It is 5:37 on News Talk 105.9 WMAL. We are making sense of the news. A good Tuesday, yes. Check your calendars. It is, of course, a Tuesday morning. Yesterday was a holiday, but it was on a Monday. This is O'Connor and Company. I'm Andrew Langer in for Larry O'Connor this week alongside my good friend Julie Gunlock. Hello there, Julie.
Good morning.
Good morning. And listen, we got the jam-packed show. We're going to be joined by Eli Lake from the Free Press, host of their Re-Education podcast, talking about Biden getting back from his vacation yesterday. He was a busy guy getting back from his vacation, criticizing Netanyahu, saying that Kamala Harris has a backbone like a ramrod, telling crazy stories about yet another uncle. You know, somebody should do a cartoon sitcom about Biden's family. I think it could be fascinating.
I don't know if it should be a comedy cartoon. It should be more like, Game of Thrones.
Oh, maybe. Yes, I like. Listen, we can have both. There was comedy in Game of Thrones.
There was.
Yes, we got Steve Moore joining us from the Heritage Foundation to talk about steel policy and Kamala Harris stealing Trump's steel policy. And, of course, we got Molly Hemingway to talk about what's going on in Old Town with the cabal of
Del
Karens.
Rey. Del Rey.
Sorry, yes, Del Rey. Sorry, I need to know these.
Old
these
Town is relatively civilized compared to Del Rey,
which is really, really shocking. We almost moved to Del Rey at one point in time, and yes, thank goodness, we did not. Yes, but speaking of which, you know what? One of the things they can agree on in Del Rey, I'm sure, this cabal of Karens, is that the Constitution is a dangerous document. I was not aware of this. Actually, I'm making a joke here. This is deadly serious stuff.
This is deadly serious.
Yes. The New York Times. We expect this now. We should be unsurprised about this. Nevertheless, I am a little bit surprised that this is a New York Times book critic by the name of Jennifer Sazai. Sasley. I don't know. Jennifer Sasley. She's a New York Times book critic. She penned an essay yesterday. The Constitution is sacred. Is it also dangerous? One of the biggest threats to America's politics might be the country's founding document. And this is yet another reason for me to worship and cherish the Constitution and everything that it stands for. Because
if I could just interject here,
please.
this Jennifer Saleh, she is a Canadian. Okay,
yes.
So let's just start there, okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and that's just it. And it goes through these things. Americans have long assumed that the Constitution could save us. A growing chorus now wonders whether we need to be saved from it, which, by the way, the only growing chorus is from the authoritarian left, right? As I've said, yes, we are not a pure democracy. The Founding Fathers were skeptical of pure democracy. Because, as other folks have said, democracy is at its core two wolves and a sheep deciding on what to have for dinner. And yes, it is a balance. We have democratic elements within our constitutional republic, but we want to create a check on the mobocracy. What Jennifer Gillet, I think you're right, is saying is that she wants us to descend into pure mobocracy. And then she writes this, and of course, because Trump, who they can't figure out if he wants to throw out the Constitution or if he has slavish devotion to the Constitution, well, now Jennifer Saleh lays out why the Constitution is bad because Trump benefits from it. Trump owes his political assent to the Constitution, making him a beneficiary of a document that is essentially anti-democratic and, in this day and age, increasingly dysfunctional. After all, Trump became president in 2016 after losing the popular vote, but winning the Electoral College, Article 2. He appointed 3 justices to the Supreme Court. Article 3, 2 of whom were confirmed by senators representing just 44% of the population. Article 1, those 3 justices helped overturn Roe v. Wade, a reversal with which most Americans disagreed. Right. This is the nature of the Constitution. It is a document that is supposed to make sure that political minority rights are protected and that we don't descend into mobocracy. Go ahead, Julie. I'm sorry.
We're going to see more and more of these types of articles. It's going to be Destroy America Prep from the New York Times and other outlets like this Daily Beast, LA Times, you name it. All of the sort of corporate media is going to start this in the event that Kamala Harris wins. And this will prepare, these sorts of articles are designed to prepare the American public for the destruction of the country. And that will be, they're going to sort of portray that as a good thing. The packing of the court, the getting rid of the Electoral College, everything that Soleil is writing about here, everything she's laying out. She's trying to prepare people. Again, she complains about the Electoral College. She complains about the Supreme Court. And the horrors that we've seen with these 3 new Republican or conservative judges. So again, when Kamala, if she wins and she moves to destroy these parts of our Constitution, they will have sort of greased the wheels. That's what I see here.
Well, I mean, listen, all I know is that, if you're, just because you're a book critic doesn't make you an expert in either political science or the Constitution. And it just gets me here at this idea you can't have it both ways. Either Donald Trump is a menace to the Constitution or the Constitution is a bad thing. Listen, we've got so much more to get to. It's 5:43. Well, it's 5:46.
WMAL, making sense of the headlines because common sense isn't so common. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Julie, there is this article in Salon. And I want to focus on one aspect of it, trying to tell Kamala Harris to focus on something other than the economy. And they're talking about this author can't believe that they rate the economy better under Trump, and but she should focus elsewhere because the economy is in decline. Joe Tauke, I think, is the guy's name. And I'm reading this article, and something came out to me here about how. Listen to this for a second. Aside from a single outlier in March of 2005, the very first time that the American public rated the economy as excellent or good, then that cracked 38%, was when Donald Trump took office. It broke the previously untouched 40% mark in September of 2017, topping 50% of that same year and never dipping below 47%. So folks never rated the economy as high as they did under Donald Trump. And so what did the Democrats then do once they rated the economy as high as they did? They took steps to wreck the economy and keep the economy wrecked throughout the election. I mean, to me, it's here. Someone looked at this. And again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but we know that Democrat governors, blue state mayors, they kept their cities, their localities in lockdown far longer than everybody else, because they knew what was going to happen with the economy. And what do? They then turned around and what did they blame Trump for the economy here? I just, to me, it's all right there in the numbers. Yeah.
And that is why they keep saying inflation is down. There's no problems here. They avoid the issue of gas prices still being through the roof and food prices still being through the roof. They want to claim that it's the best recovery. The COVID recovery was the best recovery. And then when anything bad happens, I mean, it really is astonishing to listen to Kamala Harris saying, she had this speech a couple of weeks ago where she said, things are bad. Food prices are up and gas prices are up. She admitted that, but then she sort of pivoted and suggested that it was Trump's fault.
Sure.
It really is amazing to watch the gaslighting. And frankly, I think it does work on some people.
Oh, listen, I think it certainly does. The weekend, spending the weekend in New York and talking to folks, and, folks. But again, this is New York, and obviously this is Kamala Harris country. But it then begs the question: okay, so if she's going to talk about if this guy doesn't want her to talk about the economy. I mean, she can't talk about foreign policy. She can't talk about national security. She can't talk about. I mean, I guess she could talk about the environment, I suppose.
Well, even with that, we talked about this yesterday. Even with that, when she sat down with Dana Bash, the contradictions, and of course, Dana Bash didn't call her on this.
Yeah.
But she walked back her position on fracking, saying, no, I'm not going to ban fracking. Of course, Dana Bash didn't drill down on that and say, then why did you say you were going to ban it? Unequivocally. Oh, yes, absolutely. Then she walked back her EV mandate statement. And of course, there was no follow up, just allowing her to just say, oh, no, I'm not for EV mandates. But then in the next breath, she says, I'm so proud of the Green New Deal. I'm so proud of what we've done, and talking about how the climate issue is a priority, remains a priority. Well, you cannot applaud the Green New Deal. EV mandates and fracking bans were a part of that.
Yeah.
So again, she's not called on these contradictions. She does talk about the climate. She claims that that's, one of her shining moments, and yet she's walking half of it back.
Yeah, here, let's go ahead and hear that.
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed.
Yeah, her values haven't changed, Julie. I mean, listen, truer words were never spoken. It's funny because I don't know if we're going to talk today about the body language expert. That may have been one of the only moments where she was truly sincere in the whole debate. Because at some point in time, you're under that level of stress. You're gonna have those moments where you're gonna revert to whatever it is that is actually truthful inside of you. When you can't hide behind your Inspector Todd impression, and claim that you're washing your collard greens in a bathtub, which I'm going to hit on this because it's just so gross. That's where we are. I mean, but this guy, the author here, Joe Talkie. Real-time economic conditions for the country appear to be deteriorating just as the campaign enters its most intense phase. Because no matter how much lipstick you can put on a pig, it's still a pig, and that's where we are here. It is a bad environment, no matter how much they try to convince us otherwise.
Yeah. He admits, he says, talking about the economy, sort of Kamala's sort of strategy there, that is what they're trying to do, is sort of gaslight the American public into believing that the economy isn't so bad, that Kamala is the reason, that it's going to get better. It's almost like Morning in America, a sort of Morning in America message under Kamala, which, I mean, if you've lived in this country for the past 4 years, that she is not going to bring Morning in America.
But here's the thing that gets me about this, is that the reason why the economy is first and foremost in voters' minds is because it's your everyday life.
Exactly.
It's you work to get money, right?
Yeah.
Most of us work to get money, and then we have to turn around and support our families on the money that we get, or support our lives on the money that we get. What this guy is suggesting is that people ignore that which is the most important thing in their lives to focus on something else. If voters in those states are thinking, this is him writing, if voters in those states are thinking about the economy when casting their ballots, Trump will win. If Harris can get them to think about virtually anything else other than immigration, she'll win, which means that the problems won't get solved. All of the things that have contributed to this economy deteriorating are only going to get worse. Yeah. I mean, it's like these folks don't understand that there is a connection between people going and casting their ballots and the conditions in their lives, or they don't care about these other things that are there. Listen, we have so much more to get to. It's 5:54 here on WMAL.